What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here for All Elite Wrestling, AEW Dynamite. On Off the Script, it is Wednesday, December 4th, 2019, and what a show we have for you tonight. Much better than it was last week. Finally, we got AEW back on track after a couple of weeks of so-so shows, and we got AEW back in the groove of things, building towards what should be a great couple of months of storylines as we go into their next unnamed pay-per-view. You know for a fact that AEW is paying attention to all the reception and all the reaction to the ratings, with NXT beating them for a second week in a row. You know for a fact they were paying attention to everything everybody was saying, because those opening matches, they came out like a house on fire tonight. We got the Inner Circle against the Young Bucks and Dustin Rhodes to open AEW Dynamite tonight. The Elites battling the Inner Circle, and their turmoil continues on AEW Dynamite. We got Fenix versus Trent Beretta. We got Pentagon Jr. finally in the ring against one member of SCU, Christopher Daniels. It was actually Pentagon who took out Christopher Daniels on their way to hopefully winning the tag team title tournament. That obviously did not happen, being that SCU are still the current AEW World Tag Team Champions. We got Chris Jericho. He wants to bungle in the jungle. And how many of you guys get that reference, a.k.a. Jethro Tull, tonight on AEW Dynamite? Jericho said that AEW management is forcing him to defend the AEW World Championship at least one more time in 2019. And who is it going to be? Could be Jericho's got to take a trip into the jungle. So we'll talk about that and what I thought was a fantastic segment, and every bit of reason why Jericho is the MVP of pro wrestling in 2019. Cody Rhodes is the best promo in all of wrestling for 2019. So much so that he gave a young boy in the crowd tonight a real $100 bill. So much so that he took off his loafers. So much so that he took his Black Ops with a Legend of Zelda keyring. Don't think I didn't see that, Mr. Cody. Don't think I didn't see that. That was awesome. And $50,000 in cash, just for the simple fact he wants to fight MJF. Is there anybody better in the business right now on the microphone than Cody Rhodes? And then Jon Moxley, Joey Janela. I know, it's not the stereotypical main event that you should be seeing on AEW Dynamite, but the tease for Jericho and Moxley is now in week 2. We are headed for a collision for the AEW Championship with Moxley and Jericho. The teases are there, and the teases are aplenty for the AEW World Championship. We're going to go over all this tonight right here on the podcast. Thank you guys so very much for joining me. I am exhausted. I don't know why I'm tired, man. I don't sleep. It could also be the fact that I had 2 Mad Elf tonight, but I'm going to get through this the best that I can. The Mad Elf don't fuck around, bro. The Mad Elf don't mess around. But we're going to go over everything right here on AEW Dynamite. Thank you guys so very much for joining me. I am JD. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. If you guys want to be updated on anything that happens on the channel, that bell is very important. Or you could just follow me on Twitter, which is probably better for you. It's better for your health as well. But actually, no, probably not. Not with the current state of the wrestling community, but just follow me. You'll be good to go. At JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys do that. If you guys want to check out any of the videos that you might have missed on the channel, I know the interest in pro wrestling right now is very low, and that is due to the time of the year, but we don't stop. We don't take any days off here, barely. We don't take any days off, but you guys want to go check out all the videos that you might have missed, including the very hot episodes of Off the Script this weekend, episode 302, Monday Night Raw, and Off the Script Elites. Over an hour of AEW news yesterday Everything you guys need will be linked down below in the description of this very video. Go and check all that stuff out. Make sure you guys support the podcast via Patreon. You guys certainly know how to do that. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And tonight the podcast is brought to you guys by Audible. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Make sure you guys go and sign up using our link. 30 days free, one free audiobook of your choice, and everything is absolutely free. Now, you guys can stay on after the 30 days, and obviously you will be billed. But the first 30 days, they are absolutely free. You guys can sign up, get that audiobook, and cancel in that 30 days, and still get to keep your audiobook for free, guys. It's a great way not only to get something for free tonight, but it's a great way to support the show and the podcast. That's audibletrial.com/offthescript. AEW Dynamite tonight, guys. December 4th, 2019. State Farm Center, Champaign, Illinois. Chris Jericho knows a thing or two about champagne. He sold 12,000 bottles of champagne in just 1 week. That's a lot of the bubbly, folks. That's a lot of the bubbly. 2 of those bottles are coming right here. Don't know what I'm going to do with them, but we may pop open a little bit of the bubbly right here on the podcast. Now, I mentioned in the beginning, and I'm going to mention it again, that the AEW staff, more notably the vice presidents or the executive vice presidents, Tony Khan, if you think they don't give a shit about the ratings, they obviously do. You're not going to start the show out with the 6-man tag team match that we got in the Bucks and Dustin Rhodes versus the Inner Circle if they didn't give a shit about the ratings. Of course they give a shit about the ratings. Of course they do. They were monitoring every demographic. They were monitoring everybody's reaction. And they knew they had to come out and just go all guns blazing on AEW Dynamite tonight. So we got the Elite. I guess you could put Dustin Rhodes in the Elite. Obviously, he's Cody's brother. Cody's a part of the Elite. Against the Inner Circle, Santana Ortiz, Proud and Powerful. And Sammy Guevara, the Spanish God. Sammy Guevara. 6-man tag team match. So we go right into the Bucks and Dustin running wild from the bell. All 3 hit a triple super kick. Matt hit a high cross off the post. And then Nick Jackson hits a corkscrew. Lands on his feet. Now, I openly praise Matt Jackson and his explosive offense as part of the Young Bucks duo. But Nick Jackson, my goodness, man. The guy is just as impressive as his brother. Corkscrew. The guy landed on his feet. Be the Elite or the Elite chant was started up. He was so fucking crazy. He was so into it that he got everybody chanting the name of his YouTube show. Unbelievable. So we got Nick hitting that corkscrew dive. Dustin at the same time hits a simultaneous flip dive off the apron. Crazy. Crazy right from the get-go, and they had to be. Matt tried a double Northern Light suplex sequence, and he tried to get everybody. He had Santana, he had Sammy Guevara, and then Ortiz tried and stopped, or at least tried to stop it, and he tried to get the Northern Light suplex attempt on all 3. That was not going to happen. I would have been majorly impressed if they actually had him do that sequence. Matt was blocked there by Proud and Powerful. So we had Santana and Ortiz do their vertical suplex spot, which seems to be a new thing that they're doing. They tried to go back and forth. We got Santana doing the vertical suplex to Matt Jackson. Then we got Ortiz. Then we got Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara was not able to keep Matt Jackson up. He blocked a delayed vertical suplex attempt from Guevara, and he made the hot tag to Dustin Rhodes. Dustin hit 3 power slams, and the best thing about it all is on the 3rd power slam attempt, he got Santana, he got Ortiz, but he looked at Sammy Guevara, and he played possum. He played possum. He put his hands on his knees, and he bent over, and he was pretending to be out of breath. So then Sammy Guevara was so confused, he told the referee to check this guy's pulse. He's too old, right? So Dustin Rhodes was having the referee check his pulse, and obviously it was all him just playing around. It was him playing possum. Off the ropes, Sammy Guevara gets the 3rd snap power slam. I thought that was awesome. So we got that spot, which was great. And then he hit, I don't know how I could forget this. It's in my notes. Santana was hit with a destroyer from Dustin Rhodes. I don't know, man. Is he over 50? He looked 30 in this sequence. It was awesome. That got a near fall. Of course it did. Canadian Destroyer is a near fall every single time. Dustin got cut off after a shot with a loaded sock by Proud and Powerful. Don't know what's in it. I should ask them next time what they use. Is it soap? Is it baseballs? I'd love to know. I have to ask Santana and Ortiz. Guevara hit a beautiful 630. Was it as crisp as Ricochet? No, but it was still beautiful. 630 for a near fall on Dustin Rhodes. Guevara hit a double stomp off the top to Matt for a near fall. Guevara grabbed his phone and decided that he wanted to vlog live in the ring. He wanted to video himself in the ring at this point. So he takes his phone, he starts vlogging. He jumped off the top rope while mid-vlog, and he ate a super kick. Nick then hit a missile dropkick into a double pile driver combo with Matt and Dustin Rhodes. And Matt pinned Guevara off of this double spike pile driver missile dropkick combination. It was a great open. They needed an open like that. The only thing I will say about this open is that there was clear audio issues from AEW. I don't know if you guys heard it or felt it. At one point, I usually watch my TV. I got no surround sound. I usually watch my TV on about 25-30 volume. And I had to raise the volume on my TV to about 75 because I could not hear anything on the TV. Everything was so drowned out or low. And the only thing I'm thinking in this sequence is, for the people who don't think that WWE can alter the sound of their show, clearly they can, because AEW was messing with the volume. Now, they eventually got it perfect throughout the rest of the evening, but in this match and in the Fenix Trent Beretta match, they were altering the sounds. They were trying to get what was right, or I guess a good mix of commentary, crowd, in-ring sound, right? All of that has to be at an equal volume. And I know I've been on here complaining about the fact that the volume for the show is way off. The crowd seems to be too loud one week. The announcer seems to be too low one week. The in-ring action seems to be too loud one week. Then one week like this week, you can't hear shit, right? They got it eventually. But this should not be an issue 10 weeks into AEW Dynamite on TNT. They should have this nailed down by now. So please don't give me any of the excuses that they're still growing and they're still trying to find their own. This is the simple basics of sound. If you can't get that right, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I really don't. They got the theme music right. And the next thing we need to work on is not having the microphone sound when cutting a promo echo when we're watching it on TV. There are still audio issues with AEW Dynamite. They eventually got it right. Hopefully it stays that way going into the next coming weeks. This was a great opener. They needed a hot opener after last week's show. A lot of people said it was a good show, but it really didn't offer anything like we've seen with AEW Dynamite. This was a great open for AEW Dynamite tonight with the Elite versus the Inner Circle. And they needed that win because the Inner Circle has been getting a lot of just wins. They've been getting themselves over at the Elite's expense. The Elite needed this win. So I'm glad to see that they won this match, and it was a great match. We go from the opening match to Trent with Orange Cassidy and Chucky T versus Fenix, one-on-one. Now, we didn't get any commercial breaks during the opening match, which I absolutely love, because I love the story that they're telling in the uninterrupted 15 minutes or so that they just let those guys go out there and do what they need to do. Obviously, they needed to take a commercial break. This was the match that was the casualty in this instance, and we went right to commercial break with Trent and Fenix. Fenix climbed to the top rope, leapt at Trent with a corkscrew dive. I'll be seeing Fenix and Pentagon defend the House of Glory Tag Team titles because they are our tag team champions. They will be defending against Private Party. Should be an awesome main event for our 9-year anniversary show. I'll be on commentary with the Solid Monster as always. So Trent caught him with a dropkick to knock him out of midair. They battled at ringside, and Fenix leapt off the top rope soon after with a double stomp to Trent off the ring apron. Back in the ring, Fenix went for a springboard splash. Trent lifted his knees, and then Trent hit Fenix with a running knee, and then a leaping pile driver. How often do you see a regular standard, typical pile driver on a pro wrestling show? Not often. Barely ever. We've been seeing it in WWE with the modified pile driver, the Panama Sunrise, the Canadian Destroyer, the Mexican Destroyer, whatever you want to call it, but a regular Jerry Lawler-like pile driver. How often do you see that? Barely ever. So a leaping pile driver for a near fall. Fenix came back shortly after. Of course he did, because the pile driver means fucking nothing. Fenix came back shortly after with a cutter and what he calls the Black Fire Driver, which is a spinning muscle buster. And he got the win over Trent. So this was a good showcase match. Nothing really outstanding or breaking any boundaries, but Trent is a very good wrestler. Fenix is fucking awesome. Fenix got the win. It's nice to see Fenix get the win when you got the Lucha Brothers on AEW television kind of going in the way of 50-50 booking. So it's nice to see them both tonight get victories over their opponents, and it was awesome. So that was that. Moving on, we got, and by the way, the Best Friends are actually, I believe, ahead of the Lucha Brothers in the rankings for the tag team titles. I don't know what this means for the rankings of the tag team championships, but we could honestly see the Best Friends and the Lucha Brothers. I'm assuming just based on the rankings, we will see these two teams battle it out for supremacy in the tag team championship rankings in the weeks to come. So, Cody is here, and after last week, everybody wanted to know what Cody was going to say about the Blade, the Butcher, and the Bunny. Because after last week, there were more people than I cared to realize were making fun of the terrible debut that was the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. So obviously, we needed Cody to speak on this, and Cody's in the ring. Tony Schiavone is there. Tony Schiavone is back. The commentary team is so much better when he's there. Schiavone's in the ring. He mentioned being attacked by the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny, who we seen tonight in a promo package, and that's all we seen. Next week, they'll be in the ring. But he wanted to know, did Tony, how he feels about MJF. Cody says his scar on his forehead is a reminder of his failure to win the AEW World Heavyweight title and never challenge for it again. He said his brother is preoccupied with a feud with Santana Ortiz. His wife is cutting off the hair of defenseless women. And his best friend MJF kicked him square in the balls, is what he said. Now the Butcher, Blade, and Bunny, Andy Williams, Pepper Parks, Ali, whatever pseudonym you want to go by, I am familiar with your work. I've seen Beyond Wrestling all the way to Barway. He said they needed to ask for a match. All they needed to do was ask for a match. Listen, I would have given you a match. But I get the pomp and the circumstance of wrestling. I mean, you people have seen my entrance. I get it. He added with a smile on his face. He said they do it anytime, any place. Fans started to chant Cody. He said when they have a match, they can pick his partner. So he's leaving the opportunity of his partner to be chosen by the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny, a.k.a. Ali. So that was pretty much it. His attention now turned to MJF. He said MJF has never said, or MJF said he will never wrestle him. He said that is hell of an absolute, but he doesn't deal in absolutes. He said it wasn't MJF's decision to throw in a towel. That was his decision. He said he owes him because he handpicked him. He said a lot of people thought MJF was too short or hood rich with a fake scarf, or he does the worst crossroads in wrestling. At least they're botching it on 2 channels now. So this was not only a direct shot at MJF fucking up the crossroads, But if you guys have been watching NXT, we had Damian Priest do the Crossroads, or has been doing the Crossroads on NXT, and Cody Rhodes sent a direct shot via his promo right to Damian Priest, indirectly. It was indirect/direct, because everybody knew what he was talking about. I knew what he was talking about immediately when he said it. Damian Priest does a shitty Crossroads, and that's what Cody Rhodes said here by, at least they're botching it on 2 channels now. He said MJF is just a Bush League NWO version of Chris Jericho. He said he looked past that and saw someone who was young, hungry, and maybe a little angry. I saw a little bit of myself, he said. I was naive to think I could make you my protege, but I was not naive to you being a bad guy, but you were my bad guy. He said he's willing to sweeten the deal. What's it going to take? He pulled out his car keys and offered him his car, which was, I don't know what model it was. I don't know if it's a Jeep Wrangler or a fucking Hummer of some sort. His Jeep, Black Ops, which I believe is worth $150,000. It is a rare vehicle, limited edition. He offered his keys, and he threw the keys right down to the ring mat, which I seen Cody Rhodes have his little Zelda shield insignia keychain, which I have to appreciate because Zelda, The Legend of Zelda, is one of the greatest franchises in all of gaming. Might very well be the greatest franchise of all time. And I know Cody Rhodes is a geek like all of us, which you have to love. He said Tony Khan bought him a watch, and it's the most expensive thing on his body, and it means the world to him. He took off his Omega Seamaster. This is James Bond's watch. A regular Omega Seamaster goes for about $5,000. Now, I don't know what model Seamaster he has, but I dealt in watches. Now, if this is anywhere close to the James Bond 007 version, you could be looking at $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 at least for stainless steel fucking Omega Seamaster. Takes the watch, throws it down. Now, if I'm looking at that, I'm like, oh my God, he just threw a possible $10,000 watch down to the fucking mat like it was nothing. He threw it down with his keys. So he said that means the world to him. He offered his expensive shoes. He took them off, red bottom shoes. Took them off, he threw it in the ring. He then called for Justin Roberts to bring him a briefcase that he was specifically holding. Justin walked into the ring. He delivered it to Cody Rhodes. He said inside is over $5,000, or $50,000, not $5,000, $50,000 in real cash. He pulled out a $100 bill and asked Justin to deliver it to the kid in the front row. This kid was very appropriately dressed. He had a vest on, tie. He looked very snazzy, very sharp. Justin Roberts went over to him, handed him the $100 bill. It was real, and it was legit. $50,000 in cash just for the kid to validate that the money was really handed him a $100 bill. Kid said thank you. Fans are chanting Cody, Cody. And he called MJF Max. Max, you are the future. But an education is his passport, so he needs to hurt him and lacerate him first. Let's do this. He shook Tony Schiavone's hand, and that was it. This was awesome. Cody Rhodes, I don't really have anything else to add on top of this. I love the fact that we are now planting the seeds for whatever we are going to see in the weeks to come that will eventually lead to AEW's next pay-per-view. Whatever that pay-per-view is, I don't know yet. Cody said it would be announced in the next 2 weeks. We got this week and next week. We might hear it next week or the week after that. This was awesome. This was Cody Rhodes planting the seeds for what we expect, a match with MJF. Cody Rhodes is the best promo in all of pro wrestling right now. Everything that the man says, and I don't believe I have to repeat myself, but I really don't have anything else to add. Everything the guy says, you hang on to every word. He speaks, he comes off as an alpha male. He speaks, he commands your attention. He speaks, and you know it's going to be the best segment on the show. Absolutely phenomenal by Cody Rhodes. I can't wait to see what MJF has to say. And this, with how good Cody Rhodes is, and we all know how good MJF is, if we get these two guys in the ring face-to-face with a promo battle, folks, this is absolutely TV gold on MTV. Right now, it's TV gold. We got part one. MJF battled Diamond Dallas Page when he was presented the diamond ring. That's worth $45,000. Now we got Cody Rhodes kind of coming back and shooting on MJF here. What is MJF going to say in retaliation to Cody Rhodes next week I can't wait to see. This was absolutely phenomenal. Cody Rhodes is the best promo in all of wrestling. He is an absolute star in everybody's eyes when he has that microphone in his hand. And his work this year also has put him at a level of just untouchable. Cody Rhodes is fucking awesome. Alex Marvez was backstage with Joey Janela. He asked Joey Janela why he accepted Moxley's challenge. Janela said he has nowhere to sleep, so a barbed wire bed sounds comfortable. He says one of the first things he did was sign with AEW. One of the first members on their active roster was Joey Janela. But he feels he's been put on the back burner. He actually tweeted out something that he was very frustrated with the way AEW Creative has been handling him, that he gave up spotlight on the indies to come to AEW, and now everything is kind of being wasted away. He actually deleted that tweet. I don't know exactly what he said word for word, but he deleted the tweet. He mentioned a couple weeks ago that he was not getting on the plane to join AEW for their set of TV tapings, and now he said it here in this promo. He feels that he's been put on the back burner. That might be a shoot. That might be a shoot. We don't know. Knowing Joey Janela, I don't really know what's a fucking work or a shoot. He asked Moxley if he remembers the hell that they went through at Fyter Fest, which was great. He said this time it'll be different because it actually counts. I love it. I love the fact that he actually mentioned it actually counts this time. He said this time Mox will have to actually kill him. He laughed and walked Moxley, and he was stunned to see Moxley just kind of walk into frame. And Moxley, who kind of rubbed his face in this very pompous, prickish attitude, he said, "Kids." And then he walked away. Nobody knew what was going on. Marvez looked like he was completely confused. Janela looked shocked that he even walked in on his promo. And Moxley said, "Kids." You know, that's all he said. And then he walked away. We had a new Dark Order vignette. We had a regular guy, not the slob, not the fat guy with the glasses, but a regular dude who was being given a mask during this promo. There were a bunch of masked individuals around what looked to be some kind of seance. There was a big fire pit in the middle of the woods somewhere, like they were sacrificing human souls. So this guy was being given a mask. Ceremony was happening in the woods, torches surrounding them, fire. Then we got the slob, the guy that we've been seeing in these vignettes, glasses and everything. We had Evil Uno look directly into his face and ask him why he wanted to join the Dark Order. And he says, "All I wanted was friends." And he began to cry. So then he was attacked by not only the masked men that were standing around in the circle, but we had Stu Grayson give him a super kick, and they were rubbing their hands all over this guy's face. Don't know what the rubbing of the hands on this guy's face was all about, but that was pretty much it. So the Dark Order, folks, the Dark Order is some sort of satanic, I would say, group. It's very Masonic in its delivery. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm sure if my brother's seen this vignette, he'd be like, well, this is Illuminati 101 right here. So I think it's great. I think it's great. It gives them some sort of vision. It gives them some sort of direction. And some people might not like it, but this is the best that the Dark Order have looked on TV in many, many weeks. At least we have some sort of character, some sort of direction. Instead of it just being Stu Grayson, who's fucking great, and Evil Uno, who's great, and they're a tag team. They're great at what they do, but they don't have any character. They don't have any direction. It's just Stu Grayson and Evil Uno. Nobody had any backstory on them. This is giving them backstory. Let it resonate with you. Now when you see them in the ring, you're going to think of these promos and these vignettes, and you're going to see these guys are fucking great at what they do, and I'm loving what they're doing as far as backstory with them. Can't really hate on it. I'm loving it. Nyla Rose. They showed Nyla Rose beating up Shauna out of meet and greet. Shauna just signed with AEW a couple of weeks ago. She signed a 3-year deal with AEW. Nyla Rose is the native beast. They're building up Nyla Rose as the unstoppable woman in AEW. So Nyla Rose versus Leva Bates. This went 2 minutes. Nothing but a squash match, folks. Nothing but a squash match. We had a beast bomb, her version of the sit-out power bomb, for the win. Nyla Rose actually held Leva Bates on the middle rope and jumped off the rope with that diving knee drop, which looked really good. She actually double chokeslammed at one point the Librarians in tandem. We had a double chokeslam to Avalon and Leva Bates at the same time before the sit-out powerbomb, and that's what Nyla Rose did to get the victory here. After the match, Nyla Rose gave her a second beast bomb, that sit-out powerbomb, and Shauna ran out for some retaliation. She leapt off the rope with a body block on Nyla, started throwing some forearms at Nyla, but obviously at the end of all of this, Nyla Rose gave her a gut-wrench power slam and took Shauna out. It looks like they are building at least some direction in the women's division on AEW, and Shauna is very good. We can only hope that she brings the best out of Nyla Rose when those two eventually go one-on-one. The Librarians, they could be off TV. I don't like really anything that they do. They're too cartoonish for me. It's too Monday Night Raw-ish for me. Keep them off of TV and put them on AEW Dark. Jericho made his ring entrance. He walked down with the AEW title, of course, with Jake Hager. Jake Hager had what in his hand looked to be a list. So everybody was getting a little bit excited because Jake Hager had what looked to be the list of Jericho. So he gets on the microphone. He ripped on the fans in Champagne. And like I mentioned, Jericho knows a thing or two about Champagne. He sold 12,000 bottles of Champagne. Said nobody in this town has been successful as he has. Jericho bragged that he sold 12,000 bottles of a little bit of the bubbly in 1 week, then plugged how to buy more. Of course, I bought 2. I got some on the way. Said he's been told he is contractually obligated to have one more match in AEW, but because he is the Le Champion, he gets to pick who he faces for his final match of 2019. And why not? Why not? This guy has literally held this company on his shoulders, on his back, ever since they debuted. And he is the world champion. And he's undefeated in singles competition. So, obviously, this makes sense to me. So there you go. And right now, they don't really have anybody that could go one-on-one with Chris Jericho that is really going to make sense on this roster. And Jericho has been on record saying that he wants to help establish and build other superstars on this roster so that when the time comes, they are bigger superstars at the end of it. And this is no different. At the end of this, you know why he chose who he chose, or why AEW put this specific person in this situation with Chris Jericho. So he said he put together a list. And obviously the fans cheered because Jericho and the list, everybody knows the list of Jericho. Everybody started cheering and going crazy. He says, seriously, get out of 2016. He says it's 2019. It's not the list. It's the lexicon of Les Champions, he says. Again, something that I'm sure will be on a t-shirt in 3 days. He said it's a list of wrestlers he refuses to ever wrestle again. Jon Moxley, Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Papa Buck, Uncle Buck, Buck Owens, Moxley, Hangman Page, Diamond Dallas Page, Paige, the female wrestler Paige, Moxley, Scorpio Sky, Too Cold Scorpio, any member of the Scorpions, Moxley, Michael Nakazawa, Kenny Omega, Kenny Ortega, Kenny from South Park, Moxley, the chubby guy over there with the popcorn in the 5th row, the ugly guy with the glasses in the 3rd row, Moxley, Darby Allin, Rick Allen, Alan Jones, Moxley, Evil Uno, Angry Dos, Hateful Trace, Moxley. So, we got Moxley in there, spread out through all these names, and clearly, you know in which direction they are going. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. You give Jericho a microphone, you give Jericho a promo segment, it's going to be television gold. And then out comes Jungle Boy with Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt. Luchasaurus carried Jungle Boy to the ring. On his shoulders, Marco Stunt was there as well. Fans were chanting Luchasaurus. Everybody on social media was getting excited about a possible Luchasaurus Chris Jericho match. Is Chris Jericho going to put over Luchasaurus? Why would he do that? Why would he do that? I'll talk about that in a second. So Luchasaurus takes Jungle Boy into the ring. Luchasaurus is in the ring with Jericho, and Jericho says he didn't get to finish who he was reading on his list. He said next on the list is dinosaurs and little children. So sorry. Luchasaurus took the microphone. And I need to hear more of Luchasaurus on the microphone. He then spoke on the microphone. He says he has a master's degree in medieval history. He said dinosaurs have been marginalized for 63 million years. He said Marco Stunt is small for his age, but he's more man than Jericho will ever be. And then fans were chanting Marco, Marco. Jericho said Marco is small for any age. Jericho asked if the challenge is actually from Jungle Boy. The other two guys stepped aside. Fans started chanting for Jungle Jack, Jungle Boy. Jericho asked if he has what it takes. Said everyone is pulling for the Hollywood Golden Boy, but he's not. You're a piece of shit, he says. Said he thinks, or he doesn't think, he can even last 10 minutes with the champion. Jericho got really angry about it. He got into Jungle Boy's face. Jungle Boy then snatched the microphone away from Chris Jericho. He said, I know I can last 10 minutes with you, and I'm going to kick your ass. He then slapped Chris Jericho in the face, which should have been a little bit more intense with the slap. It didn't really look like a slap that I would have delivered to Chris Jericho, but needless to say, a fight broke out between everybody with Hager joining in. We had Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. He was throwing some weak-ass shots at Chris Jericho while he was brawling with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. And we got all three babyfaces clearing the ring of both Jericho and Jake Hager. And this match is with Jungle Boy, and it's in 2 weeks in Corpus Christi, Texas, or Corpses Christi, Texas, for Jericho's last match of 2019, and that was pretty much it. I think this was awesome. So, the list was awesome. There was a sly AJ Styles reference in there, and the number of times he mentioned Moxley was just obvious to everybody that you know where this storyline is going for the AEW World Championship. And after the new year, we know where we're going. It's going to be Moxley and Jericho at the next pay-per-view for the world title. It's the only thing that makes sense because Moxley's being built up as their version of Brock Lesnar, if you want to go and call him that. Or he's their version of The Fiend, is a better explanation because nobody can be built up like Brock Lesnar. It's unfair to even mention anybody in the same breath as Brock Lesnar because nobody is being built up as Brock Lesnar. He's more like The Fiend in AEW. He's undefeated. He's going to be challenging for the world title, but I doubt AEW is going to go into this and make the same creative error that WWE made with Seth Rollins and The Fiend inside Hell in a Cell. This is awesome. I love the fact that Luchasaurus was out there. He got some mic time. I love the fact that they are holding back on Luchasaurus because if you look at Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, yes, they're a fantastic tag team. I want to see them thrive in a tag team environment first and foremost. But out of everybody in this threesome, who is the moneymaker? It's not Jungle Boy. It's not Marco Stunt. It's Luchasaurus. Everybody is high on Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus, in a lot of people's eyes, is a future breakout single star. He's a future AEW World Champion. He's the next big man in all of pro wrestling. What sense would it make if you book Luchasaurus now against Chris Jericho to ultimately lose? It's not what you really want to do. Luchasaurus is going to be in the background. He's going to help his little buddy try and get one over on Chris Jericho. And it's easy to cheer Jungle Boy when you got Luchasaurus in the corner. And Jungle Boy is who he is. He's the small guy. He's the underdog. He's looked at as nobody that could be in the same realm as Chris Jericho. He's going to give Jericho a great fight. And it's easy to cheer someone like Jungle Boy in that instance. And this is going to be a great thing. It really is. It's going to get Jungle Boy over. It's going to keep Luchasaurus in the background. Jericho is doing exactly what he stated on all these interviews. He's going to get everybody over that he can and make them into a household name at some point. He might not be a household name after the match, but you're going to know who Jungle Boy is after this match and after the new year in AEW. This is just a great booking decision. And who else is there for Jericho to go one-on-one with? Why not? He went one-on-one with everybody, and you see how selfless Chris Jericho is in giving to getting everybody else over on this roster. He single-handedly was in the ring with Darby Allin, Scorpio Sky, and it's going to be Jungle Boy in 2 weeks. How awesome is that? You really can't fault him for that. You really can't blame AEW for this. You can't shit on AEW for this. And this is exactly why Chris Jericho is the world champion. You put anybody else with that title in that spot, maybe outside of Moxley or Omega. And who's going to get Jungle Boy over in the way that we're all expecting Jungle Boy to get over? Nobody. This is a fantastic move. I love everything about this. And the simple fact that they're saving Luchasaurus for that one big, ample opportunity, that big moment. They know he's the money man. The big man in this industry. You know, a lot of people look at Braun Strowman. He's the big man in WWE. He's the big man. Walter is another one. Luchasaurus is going to be in that conversation before anybody really gets to know who he is. He's already in that conversation. Before all is said and done, Luchasaurus is going to be in that conversation. This is great. This was a great segment. Jericho was hilarious. I love his sense of humor. I love how natural he sounds and comes off, and everybody just like Cody. You listen to this guy, and he commands your attention. This is fantastic stuff. Moving on. Chris Statlander versus Hikaru Shida. They announced this match just a couple of days ago. Chris Statlander is now with AEW. She's the newest signee to the women's division. We got Chris Statlander beating Hikaru Shida in 9 minutes. Man, they just signed her and they put her over. The number 2 female in AEW right now behind Riho. The number 2 female in AEW behind Riho and the number 1 ranked female in the rankings for the week. Chris Statlander just beat her on AEW television. That is fucking impressive. That's not only impressive because of what Chris Statlander is capable of doing, but that is impressive just based on what she has already done with AEW in 3 weeks and how they view her. That is unbelievable. So, she hit the Big Bang Theory Cradle Tombstone for the win over Hikaru Shida. This was a big upset, according to the commentary team, because she was an unranked female performer. Now, by beating the number 1 ranked female, she's obviously in the top 5 for the AEW women's division. After the match, Awesome Kong and Brandi Rhodes walked out. Brandi said, people fear what they don't understand. She said people have had trouble explaining what they are doing. She said she can perhaps shed some light on this subject. So Kong is there. She holds the ropes for Brandi Rhodes. She gets into the ring. And she says, myself and Awesome Kong, we make up the Nightmare Collective, an extension of the Nightmare family. Now, I'm listening to this and I'm like, all right, that sounds pretty cool, I guess, the Nightmare Collective. But if you really think about it, we got the Dark Order. We got the Nightmare Collective, we got the Nightmare Family, and now we got the Butcher, the Blade, and Allie, the Bunny, who I'm assuming are going to be playing dark, evil characters on AEW television. There's a lot of dark characters on AEW television, so this is just adding to the overabundance of dark characters on AEW television. The Nightmare Family is getting an extension called the Nightmare Collective. She said they do the jobs no one else wants to do, and execute them exactly how they see fit, and no one ever asks any questions. She said she has no business with Statlander, yet she is up here in her business. Now, she goes on and says this creates a precarious situation for her, but perhaps an opportunity for you, Statlander. She said families aim to grow, so she offered her to pledge herself. She offered Statlander to pledge herself to the Nightmare Collective. We will take care of you and elevate you. You will have a home with us. She then went on to say, pledge yourself to us right now. Very similar to the Dark Order. Excalibur said Statlander would be a good prospect to strengthen their organization. I don't think this would be a good decision at all for Chris Statlander, just based on what I'm looking at here. So Awesome Kong got in Statlander's face. And then meanwhile, while Statlander was contemplating a decision here with Awesome Kong in her face, we had a fan. I don't know who this was. This was obviously a plant of some sort. A fan, quote unquote, at ringside was begging to join the Nightmare Collective. So security let this woman over the barricade, and she got up on the ring apron. She got on her hands and knees and begged both Awesome Kong and Brandi Rhodes to let her into the Nightmare Collective. She pulled her ponytail up, and Awesome Kong, without any hesitation, took her knife, cut her ponytail off, and she was rubbing her head. And that was it. Another strand of hair collected for Awesome Kong. And that was pretty much it. Statlander in the ring never answered anybody at all. And that's that. So I don't know who this person was. I don't know what they're doing with Kris Statlander. I hope they keep her as herself. I want to see her blossom and grow with what she's done so far in the 3 years that we've seen her on the independent circuit. I want to see what she does in AEW with what she's worked with. And I don't know who this person is. I hope to find out more about what's going on here. But I love this segment. I thought this was great. Brandy played her role great. Awesome Kong is the great silent assassin standing behind Brandy Rhodes. Don't know where they're going with this. I'm still kind of miffed about all of this. Don't know who that woman was, but it definitely has intriguing qualities to it. It's got your attention. You want to know more. They got your attention. That's all they wanted. So this was great execution. Brandy looked great. She sounded great. Statlander looked great. And it's got your intrigue. What else could you ask for? Christopher Daniels, one-on-one with Pentagon Jr. Pentagon wins in 9 minutes. Package pile driver to Christopher Daniels for the win, which was kind of surprising. He beat Christopher Daniels, who obviously was seeking revenge on Pentagon for putting him on the shelf. A lot of damage, or a lot of maneuvers, to Christopher Daniels' neck, and that's what they actually put him out of injury with. But Pentagon wins here and delivers a package pile driver for the win on Christopher Daniels. So we go from that to the Bunny, the Blade, and the Butcher. They had a vignette. They were backstage. Allie said they were sick of seeing Cody on every billboard. And she introduces themselves. We are here to cut the heads off of the snakes. So that's pretty much all they said. They'll actually be in action next week. I don't know. Well, I think they announced who Cody Rhodes' partner was going to be, but I really don't know who it is. I'm not familiar with it, but we got all 4 of these people involved next week, and it's going to be a tag team match. It's going to be interesting to see how the fans take to what they're doing with the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny on next week's AEW Dynamite. Jon Moxley in the main event versus Joey Janela. This one went 10 minutes. This was absolutely perfect for what they needed to do here. They noted Janela was 2-4, 1-3 in singles matches. Janela's looked impressive in the matches that he's been in. He's looked great against Moxley. He looked great against Omega twice. One on AEW Dark and one here on TNT. Moxley undefeated. Obviously, he's going to be the next in line to challenge Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship. Moxley, man, it's amazing. You look at him, and I know I state this all the time. It's amazing to look at him here and just realize where he was just 11 months ago, 12 months ago. It's absolutely a mesmerizing transformation. The bell rang, and we were looking at this match starting at 9:49 with TV time remaining. I'm like, here we go again. WWE usually has this nailed down to a T. AEW can't get it right. They can't get the main event stuff right. They're always rushing to the main event. They're always rushing the ending of the main event, and the shows go off the air weird. Didn't happen here. It's like for the first time ever, AEW finally got the timing of the shows correct. And this match went the length it needed to go. It didn't overstay its welcome. It didn't go too short. It did what exactly it needed to do. And this was great. This was great. So we got the bell ringing with 10 minutes of TV time remaining. And we got these two going at it. They tried to start the match off with a collar and elbow tie-up. And Moxley and Janela turned this thing into as hardcore as they could get under a basic wrestling match. So we had Moxley chopping Janela. They exchanged chops. Moxley obviously got the better of him. Janela tossed a charging Moxley to the ramp and then leapt onto him with a flying double axe handle. So we go to commercial break. Janela then was in the paradigm shift. He avoided that. And then suplexed Moxley backwards into the bottom turnbuckle. Janela then leapt off the top rope onto Moxley. He crashed onto him and down below through the Timekeeper's area. So the Timekeeper's table was destroyed in this chaos. Moxley then tried to suplex Janela on top of the rope. Janela blocked it. Moxley then gave him a paradigm shift onto the top turnbuckle and then a paradigm shift in the ring. And that was pretty much it. Moxley continues to dominate AEW. He remains undefeated on Dynamite, and he is obviously the next in line to challenge Chris Jericho for the AEW Championship. I thought this was an awesome show. It built a lot of what we're going to see moving forward. We got the back and forth between the Elite and the Inner Circle. We got Brandy and whatever she's doing with Awesome Kong. There's intrigue there. Who is this new mystery woman? We don't know. We'll find out. Chris Jericho's building towards Jon Moxley. Jericho's building with Jungle Boy for the next 2 weeks. Moxley wants Jericho. He obviously came out and did the same thing that Jericho did to him last week. Or Jericho did the same thing to Moxley that Moxley did last week. So they kind of traded glances at the end of the show, and that's the way the show went off the air. We got Jericho and Moxley. We got Cody and MJF. That's being built. And in the interim, we got Cody and the Butcher Blade and the Bunny. We don't know what's going on with that. So there are a lot of moving parts in AEW, and a lot of which are very interesting. We got Dustin Rhodes and Jake Hager. That's another thing that's coming up. That's the reason why the Elite is still going after the Inner Circle. Dustin Rhodes had his arm broken, so he's looking for revenge there. We got the Young Bucks and Proud and Powerful. There's a situation there that has yet to be resolved. We got a lot of moving parts, folks. AEW right now, they're hitting the nail on the head with all of these storylines, and it's very fun to watch. It's very exciting. And after last week's dud, and after last week's kind of lazy show that really didn't offer anything as far as excitement goes because of the holiday, they came right back and delivered an AEW Dynamite that I thought was great and was just like the rest of them. And we're going to get better as the weeks go on. As soon as that pay-per-view is announced and we get into the pay-per-view build, we're going to get great AEW television. So give it time, let it blossom, be patient, and we're going to get some good stuff along the way. Guys, thank you so very much. I'm getting out of here. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, you guys can certainly do so. JD from NY206 on Twitter. Same thing on Instagram. Make sure you guys check out all the other videos that you might have seen already on the channel. Or if you missed, go check them out. Links will be down below. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And I'll be back tomorrow at some point during the day with my NXT coverage, my NXT review, right here on Off the Script. Guys, thank you so very much. Hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow with more wrestling content in the form of NXT. And what happens on NXT, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but we got a lot to go over as well on NXT. See you guys then. Have a good night. I'll see you right back here with more content.